speaking of the 145ers, what did you think of the Max Holloway, Alex Volkanovski, their rematch? And who'd you score it for?
You know, I couldn't get the actual main event here, so I had to go on. My boy Zach Zane was bootlegging like pieces of the main event on his Instagram, so I watched like a portion of it, like the last half of it, but and then I watched the highlights over and over again because they have 2 channels that are dedicated just to UFC here, and I thought that Max had done enough to win, but it's hard to say. Same thing has happened to me in the past where it's the fight's so close you can't really say that you've been ripped off if you lose, but you easily could have made a case that you won, and I feel like that was one of those fights.
Do you have any 10-8 rounds? I think everyone was looking at that third round as being the real questionable round because the first 2 rounds, Max, championship rounds, I saw at Volkanovski. Obviously, Volkanovski got those takedowns late, wasn't able to keep him down, but I think Max had dropped him twice. Mm-hmm. He had that head kick, knocked him down with the right hand too. I mean, just the judging.
Yeah, I mean, here's the hard part about judging, and there's some things being worked on associated with the UFC, not associated with the UFC, but the truth is, if you're a judge and you haven't been in an intense grappling match, in an intense wrestling match, in an intense boxing, situation, either sparring heavily or, brought up learning it, it's hard to really understand, in Muay Thai as well, it's hard to understand what a real takedown is, what a little piddly punch versus something that's right on the button that rocks someone. It's just really hard to get judging unless you bring in fighters and give them jobs and make it something that's a good reward from people that have put in the time and experience. But it's a valuable part. I mean, it's heartbreaking seeing some of these fights called the wrong way. And again, Volkanovski, Holloway was not like a blowout, like missed call,
right?
But easily could have said that Max had won the fight, depending on what you're looking at.
So do you think that there should be any changes to the judging or scoring system?
I think the changes should be, there's a couple of things, but, and we'll get into the theory of it all day long, but at the end of the day, I feel like you need to have people that really are martial artists, not just people that know the sport, judging, and maybe have some sort of requirement or credentials to make that judgment. Because I could go tell you so many different times where I've been watching with somebody that doesn't know what's going on and they see something like to the layman's term that makes sense, where they're like, oh, I think that person won, or I think that person won, but it's just because they don't understand what was really happening. And so that's part of it. And then possibly looking at the holistic approach to a fight instead of, just a round by round piece. And I always tend to look at the later part of the fight as a more important part of the fight, because in the real world, and I've always said that this fight game is really just a simulated death match. That's why people are alive, because there are rules in mixed martial arts. If this was to the death, a lot of people, some commentators out there even that I know, would not be alive right now. And that's because we submit and people tap out, and if you get knocked unconscious, someone's there to protect, so you can get your face stomped in. But as a fight goes on, the further you get into a fight, that's more realistic of what's going to happen if it were to go forever to the death.